Ah, quoi de neuf? Year one, grad school in the books, and I wanted to do a review here, as you can see by the title. I've got one of my favorite books in the background that I haven't fully read yet, but actually, I don't really have the books that we went through for year one because at my school we rent them. So whatever I have is either borrowed or books that I had from before. So this is a Gottman good book here and Gina Graham's. So hopefully that got captured for the thumbnail. Still new to uploading directly to YouTube. So I just want to get into it. So I'm going to go through some of the courses that I took for year one in MFT program. I don't know if I'll put MFT in the title or not. And just talk about it for a little bit. So I would think if you're doing a program for, grad school, mental health program, social work, LPC, those would be could be similar. I guess I don't know for sure. Definitely MFT. So maybe even psychology. So you could watch the video I made for fall, for first semester back then. So maybe I'll start off, let's see here. Just gonna go through some of the courses I took. So we had, so there was 4 or 5 courses. 5 courses this semester. So I had culturally responsive therapy. Just want to make this a little bit wider. So culturally responsive therapy. I'll talk a little bit about each one. Trauma-informed approaches to violence and addictions. Contemporary couples and family therapy. Child and adolescent therapy. And professional issues in marriage and family therapy, basically. So I go to school in the Midwest at University of Wisconsin-Stout. Second longest consecutively accredited program in the country. Great program, great value. Highly recommend it. So of these classes that I took, my favorite was the culturally responsive therapy. Probably put the most work into that because I just like the content. And I think that's kind of how grad school goes. You end up based on the work you need to do, but also what you're drawn to the most. And that was actually a continuation from last semester. So there's books that I had last semester of What Does It Mean to Be White was a book that I really liked a lot. And so we continued reading that. We continued reading Menachem's My Grandmother's Hands, which I also really liked. Got a chance to finish both of those. Contemporary couples and family therapy was great. Learned some amazing models, systemic models, which I would say my favorite probably still is narrative therapy. I got my eyes open more to experiential, solution focused, but also IFS as well, which is internal family systems. And then the other courses, let's see here. The child and adolescent probably put the least amount of work in. There was parts of it that, as far as like reading and stuff goes, there's parts of it I wish I could have dug into more. It's just a time thing. 5 classes was a lot. It was 14 credits. The professional issues was one that was really helpful. I think it was this semester. Read the book Letters to a Young Therapist. I'm pretty sure that was this semester, and really, really liked that book. I highly recommend that if you're in any therapy field. Letters to a Young Therapist. Let me see if I can Google real quick who the author is. I forgot her name. To a Young. It is Mary Pipher, who is a psychologist. So, because I think for me, and I think probably a lot of people it tackles, she's just really real. She's talking to one of her people she supervised named Laura, in styles of letters and talks about mistakes, common things like that, fears, things to watch out for. I know one thing that people don't talk about much is safety, and she talked about that as far as, just, what to do in certain situations if you don't feel safe. So that was also just a good class because it was like we covered ethics and professional issues, and we did vignettes and case examples, discussions, and really learned that it's both. It's part ethics, part not just ethics. I'm sorry. Well, it's discernment, right? It's how do you interpret the laws, and I'm blanking on it. What the differential words I'm trying to use right now, but how do you differentiate the things that are black and white versus the things that are gray for interpretation? And a lot of it does end up being that way, and then always wanting to do it in like the client's interests. So I have more things from that class I think I might want to share in separate videos, as far as like what you can and can't share with a therapist. I think things that would probably surprise people that could be helpful. So meaning that you can share and that they cannot disclose to anyone else. So for my field, I guess I don't know if it's the same for psychologists too and things. So the last class, the trauma course, great class again. Unfortunately, not enough time to dig into it, but I think the big takeaway is that when you're in grad school, when I'm in these are resources I have, and I was encouraged to look at it this way. I think when you're paying money for it, when you really want to do your best, because you're going to be helping people in the future, you want to consume all the information because that's the training. Otherwise, it's just a person working off of their empathy without any training, which I think people that are therapists are, they're people that have good personalities, good makeups for it, that want to do it. I mean, so that probably matters too. All of that matters, but I think the training is important too. So I think that's where the guilt comes in with not being able to. But what I would say is year one, and this was said to me, and it'll probably be said to you, whatever school you're going to, by the people ahead, is just that do the best you can. Do the best you can. If you can read everything, great. If you can't, you might have to work. You might only be able to focus so much. The other thing is it's really taxing things emotionally. There's lots of, as far as the homework goes, our school, we had lots of discussion boards, and when you talk about stuff around power, privilege, difference, and race, and we have a really diverse cohort, which I broke down last semester a little bit more, but those are things then, when you're comfortable with each other, like our cohort is and became, we start to have those hard conversations. We call out microaggressions and things like that, and we use the content in the books that we're learning from as ways to practice, because that's the time to practice. So I'm really grateful for that. I highly recommend if you're looking at schools, if you can choose a school with a cohort model for that reason. And I think a small number is good, but everyone's different. So I don't know how long I really want to make this video because there's a lot of side topics within here I really want to make in separate content. I will say though, it's really important, and I want to do this in a separate video too, but just really to have self-care in whatever ways you can, and they'll probably encourage it in different programs, in all programs, but I just think, it's easier said than done, because you have real deadlines you have to meet too. So I know for me, it'd be binging out on a show, talking to a family member or a friend on the phone, exercising, meditating, like different things regularly. Also just celebrating little things like getting papers done. I will say, and I might share this in a separate video too, and I'll probably cut this short soon, is just that the most meaningful project I think that I probably did for all of my first year of grad school was a 2-part project for my culturally responsive therapy course, which was a continuation from Power, Privilege, and Difference from last semester, and it was kind of like this cultural genogram story timeline. This semester it was called what was it called? Not cultural interview assignment. Oh, it was a family story project. So it went through and told like the whole family story, because it was really, you know, I've said this before to like friends in my cohort and stuff, but like I often grew up thinking I was white, but just in a brown body. And that's significant, you know, that's significant of the effects of whiteness in society. And it's something I want to talk about more in future videos, just in general, you know. But regardless, it's worth it if you want to do it. And I will be, you know, giving further updates. So if you're not subscribed, or please subscribe, like, share. You know, if you know anyone that might be interested in this channel too, I do all sorts of videos. I'm also plant-based, and I'm going to do a lot more around grad school mental health stuff. I'm going to be sharing theories. I also write on Medium a little bit. I've started to, so we'll see where that goes. But just so we can, I really want to try to have a community here of things that I think I also would have wanted, you know, when I was, that I do want to see. And I think there's something also of having perspectives from people that look and talk like you. I had someone recently say that, and so that's just, I'm just sharing my story and my experiences in that way. So yeah, thanks again, and à plus.